as I said, I'm not very good in counting my carbs, and I'm also not very good in like having writing down everything for my doctor. So I can show her SNAQ and we can analyze it together. So that helped also a lot.
Welcome to Think Like a Pancreas, the podcast, where our goal is to keep you informed, inspired, and a little entertained on all things diabetes. The information contained in this program is based on the experience and opinions of the Integrated Diabetes Services clinical team. Please discuss any changes to your treatment plan with your personal healthcare provider before implementing. Welcome to Think Like a Pancreas, the podcast. I'm your host, Gary Scheiner. Today, I am really excited to introduce something that reminds me of old episodes of Star Trek. In fact, Star Trek has officially made its way to diabetes care. Those of you who used to watch the original Star Trek might remember Dr. McCoy has something called the tricorder. It was a medical device. He would just wave over anything, and it would tell him instantly what was going on inside that person's body. It would go, woo, 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 say, Jim, this man is suffering from gonorrhea or whatever. He would know exactly what's happening. In diabetes, I always wished we had something like that for carb counting. And carb counting is not the easiest thing, even though some of us think we're experts. I mean, I wrote a book on this thing, The Ultimate Guide to Accurate Carb Counting. It's still a pain in the butt. It's tough to do a lot of times. And there's an app now that can help with that and do a whole lot more. And I want to welcome today the creators, inventors of the SNAQ app. We have with us Loredana and Aurelian Briner. Lori and Aurelian, tell us a little bit about yourselves.
Been together for over 10 years. More
13 years.
13 years.
How did you meet?
Actually, through a friend we've met.
Which I know close to 20 years. But actually, I was doing music back in the days, and her friend was bringing her to a concert of mine back then. And so that's where we met initially. And yeah, the rest is history. I mean, there's more history.
You look like you're about 18 years old, so I'm not going to buy it.
Yeah, actually, we're 36 and 37. But, thank you for the compliment. And yeah, from there on, then about, what do you say, like more than 10 years ago, you got diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, 12 years ago. I was back then working in software, more in the business software side. And I don't know, really like seeing her struggling with particularly meals back then. I mean, back then it was a different time in regards to technology, not really AID. I mean, you got started with NDI. And basically she was asking me, hey, what's the amount of carb in that meal? Like, how heavy is that? And like, I mean, I would consider myself more or less trying to eat healthy and stuff, but I really didn't know that much. So that's where I realized, damn, that's actually really, really hard.
To add, I'm very bad in estimating kilometers and also estimating carbs. So I can't tell the amount on my table. I struggle with distances, I struggle with amounts, and therefore it helped a lot when I could take a picture and it told me how much I have on my table, on my plate. Yeah, and I also used it as a diary because people tend to forget pretty fast. You think you can remember what you ate 3 days ago, but you actually can't because it's very irrelevant during your everyday life. And then you also forgot that you maybe messed up 3 days ago and you will do the same mistake again. So SNAQ helped me to know what I ate 3 days ago and how my performance was to maybe adjust it the next time when I eat the same thing. Because I don't know if maybe with other diabetics it's the same, but I eat a lot the same meals, but I need some variety on some days.
So where do you guys live?
We both live in Switzerland, close to Zurich. We've actually been pretty much around that area, even though Today with SNAQ, we mostly operate in the US. 90% of our user base is in the US, and that just came for various reasons. The US more open towards digital health innovation, which made it more attractive actually for us to launch in the US versus in Europe. And then it's just also a bigger, more homogeneous market. Whereas in Europe, you have very fragmented markets with different go-to markets and different regulatory reimbursement pathway and so on occasions, which make it much harder to bring innovation to the market, unfortunately.
Okay. So it sounds like a perfect marriage. You two are like chocolate and peanut butter. You got somebody with diabetes struggling to count carbs, and you got somebody with gnarly software skills, and you kind of put it together. That's a great thing.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, ultimately, then we co-founded SNAQ together with Nico, my technical co-founder, and me together. Like, I mean, the startup roller coaster wouldn't have been a journey for you. I think you really get more than enough from just being married with me, right?
Yes.
more than enough. You sound like my wife when she talks about me. Yeah. So, we're talking about the SNAQ app, which I installed and I've been using, and it's an amazing app. It really is. What was the inspiration? Was there like a breaking point where you just said, Lori just threw her hands up and said, I give up. I cannot count this. Was there some turning point that led to this development?
That's actually...
I told him to do something useful. He wanted to found something, and he has so many ideas. And I told him, you need to do something useful. And for example, you could help me, and then I could support you. I guess it was the
I
start.
hope you don't regret. Yeah, and actually in retro perspective, I think it was crazy crucial that, I mean, because the journey is so hard. It's such a roller coaster with so many ups and downs. The highs are high, but the lows are low. Not just in blood sugar, but also in an entrepreneurial way. And that's just, you need that motivation, which goes beyond just, hey, I want to do something cool with, I don't know, some new technology or whatever. You need to truly believe that there is value in the problem you're solving, and you really help people to get through it over all these years. I mean, Nico and me have been on that journey for 8 years, and it's our kind of very good years of our lives in our career perspective as well. And you really just need to believe strongly in it. Otherwise, I think people give up too early.
Yeah. Sounds like a great match the two of you have. I met my wife when we were both in college, and our first Valentine's Day together, she knew about my diabetes, and instead of getting me chocolates, she made this enormous heart-shaped box full of popcorn. That's my favorite food. I love popcorn.
That's
Said, wow, this woman is really sensitive to my needs. That's special. I'm going to hold on to her. But really, and in developing this, did you find Lori's experience in diabetes or any aspect of how does she contribute to this? That's what I really...
In the beginning, much more, because we always had very easy access to double check a few assumptions or a few ideas or concepts which we were developing around SNAQ. Nowadays, I think still, but I mean, since we have a much bigger user base, some of our testings or and feedbacks, we just receive much more feedback in general. Even though we have a very big type 1 portion of our users, but we also serve type 2 prediabetes, gestational diabetes. So it's also a bit broader. And I mean, obviously, there might be different requests, which we always need to balance out and prioritize and so on. So we listen to very different voices, but ultimately, in general, try to be super open. People can either write to us, or they even have a feature board where I can post feature requests and people can upvote and downvote, and we respond to that. So we'll really do our best to build it for the people using it and provide value.
So, the carb counter or estimator aspect of this to me was the appeal when I installed it and I've been using it. That's mainly what I've used it for. But can you tell us about some of the other key features? And Lori, I'd like to hear from you. What are as a person living with type 1, what are some of your favorite features of the app?
let me give the overview and then maybe you can say what you like. We really started with the carb counting aspect. So like basically capturing meals by taking a picture. It is still the very core technology today. I mean, you can also scan barcodes, you can scan food labels, you can record by voice, and obviously we have also a database which you can just search. And then the second really important aspect is that you can combine that meal data with data from the diabetes devices. So we support integrations with CGMs, with some insulin pumps, with wearables, and so on. Because I mean, all this data, even in the context of meal, matters. So if you've been very active before your meal or after your meal, and so on, like even has an impact on the postprandial glucose, right? Besides like insulin and the meal itself. So really wanted to try to have all data pieces together to, what we say, like remove some of the guesswork around meals. The third component is what we kind of describe as insights, so that you really can dive deep and see these different correlations and also trajectory over time. And like fourth component, which is actually just now in the works, which is not yet in the app, is what we call kind of companionship, so that we become more a companion to the person using the app to help them achieve their long-term goals. That's what we are working on right now.
My turn. I maybe need to add, so we have a 6-month-old son. So I went through a pregnancy with type 1 diabetes, which was very challenging. And I used SNAQ for like almost every meal, because during a pregnancy, the insulin sensitivity level changes almost every day. And since I had recorded all my meals, I was able to work through everything with my doctor and adjust carb to insulin ratio. So during my pregnancy, my values were very good. I was almost 100% in target range, like very narrow target range. And this was actually thanks to the meal recording, the CGM data, which are connected to the meal. Also, because SNAQ tells you if a vegetable has any carbs or milk, or you can like scan your yogurt, and you can scan it and you know exactly how much carbs you eat. And that helped me a lot during my pregnancy, because I was never that accurate with my meals. And during my pregnancy, I could inject the more accurate. Exactly.
Yeah, it matters because we determine our mealtime insulin doses based on how much carb we're eating for the most part. Fat, protein, it can have a little bit of an effect as well. Activity is going to impact it, but ultimately, we're always looking at the carbs. Now, the newest systems on the market, these automated or semi-automated insulin delivery systems, they'll compensate. So if you underdose or overdose a little bit, they'll recognize that. They'll adjust the basal delivery, but you still need to be at least reasonably close. I say you got to be in the ballpark with your carb counting. If you're way off, you're going to underdose, you're going to overdose. And, the post-meal blood sugars will be out of range, but even, several hours later, you can still be out of range. So accurate carb counting makes a difference. And it's not just difficult, it's also burdensome. It takes work. Now, when you got food in front of you, the last thing you want to be doing is, well, how much carb is in this part? You just want to eat. You don't want to be looking things up and doing math and all that. You just want to eat. So getting at least a reasonably reliable carb count is so valuable. So you found that it was helpful through the pregnancy to be able to dial in your carb estimates.
Yeah. So especially in my pregnancy, it helped a lot. And also before my pregnancy, because as I said, I'm not very good in counting my carbs. And I'm also not very good in like having writing down everything for my doctor. So I can show her SNAQ and we can analyze it together. So that helped also a lot. It just takes time. I mean, I don't need to tell you that when everyone starts eating and you have to like count carbs and inject and write down everything, it takes time.
Yeah. I love the way the app, it'll sync up my CGM data and it'll show, when I ate, I can tap, it'll show a picture of the food. So not just for myself, but yeah, for my patients as well, I can say, you ran real high here. Let's look at what you ate. And, they ate some enormous thing. And he said, you only put in, 25 grams for that. Let's look at that. Let's discuss how to count those carbs. I teach this method using, I call it a fist method. It's a carb estimation technique based on the portion size of the food. So if somebody's having a roll or bread of some kind, it's usually about 25 grams for a fist-sized portion, give or take a few grams. Doesn't matter that much. That's something I teach my clients for virtually any kind of food. You can just compare it to the size of your hand or your fist and get a reasonable carb estimate. But with this, you just click photo, little sparkly things show up, it analyzes. I guess that Aurelian, that's you and your tech guy came up with that, and it shows. And we're going to test it in a little bit because I brought the stuff I brought in for lunch today. We're going to test it against my carb estimation technique and see how close it gets on these items. So what are some of the things within the app that you want to still improve upon or expand? Think Like a Pancreas, the podcast, is brought to you by Integrated Diabetes Services, where experience meets expertise, passion meets compassion, and diabetes care is personal because we live it too. Our team of clinicians, all living with type 1 diabetes, understands the challenges firsthand. We're here to help no matter where you are in the world. From glucose management to self-care strategies, the latest tech, sports and exercise, weight loss, type 1 pregnancy, and emotional well-being, we've got you covered. We offer consultations in English and Spanish via phone, video chat, email, and text. Want to learn more? Visit integrateddiabetes.com or email info@integrateddiabetes.com to schedule a consultation.
So as briefly mentioned before, like the big piece is that people can log, can connect data, can get insights on data, but so far we don't take them along a journey towards a specific goal that they might be having. So the goal might be, just in general, get better carb counting, but might also be more specific on like improve my time in range or my A1C, or maybe in the future, like some like weight or nutrition targets and stuff. So this is something. And then in the core of the app, obviously there's always work to do. So it can always get, the nutrition database can always get bigger. We can always get better in accuracy. We can support more estimation modes on different devices, which don't have the optimal camera setups and so on. So that is just an ongoing work essentially, and to deliver and improve upon on the core aspects of the app. So maybe also in regards, of the accuracy and the estimations and so on. So currently we're doing portion estimates on those smartphones which have a LiDAR sensor. So have this like 3D camera on the phone. And then we can do a 3D or volumetric model of the food, and through the volume estimate the weight. On the other smartphones, there's like a very light version of portion estimation. So it can do like counting, it can like roughly judge portion sizes, but it's not, that's just the best we can do technology-wise these days in regards to if you don't have these cameras. So yeah, that will be, for example, an area to extend and make it more broadly available, the accurate version.
Yeah, right now it provides estimates of calories, carbs, fat, and protein grams.
Correct.
I can see people developing an interest in sodium in particular. That might be a nice add-on. Any other nutrient components you're looking to include?
We could do that actually fairly simple, most of those, as long as they're supported from our database, because how the process works, we don't jump from like the image directly to the nutrients. So it's not a black box. We control every step, or we optimize every step of the process. So from identifying the food item, identifying where it is, estimating the volume if it has the corresponding camera, and then like matching that up with the nutrition database. So we can optimize at different parts in the process. So it's not like if you just like upload the image to ChatGPT or to Gemini or something, which is really like a kind of a random guessing more or less on what that is. With us, it's much more a structured process.
And here's an idea I have for you. And Lori, I got to ask you this. When you decide or determine how much insulin you need, do you also consider the timing of the insulin as far as how quickly or slowly it's going to digest? It's important. So really think about adding this component, and that is the glycemic index of the meal.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's going to digest quickly or slowly, because that'll help insulin users optimize the timing. Some of the newer automated systems, especially the open source ones like Loop, they ask for called absorption time.
Yeah.
So being able to give an indication of, well, it's going to digest in about 3 hours. This is going to take 6 hours, because that'll really help users, because you can link up the food type to the glycemic index lists and offer up that kind of information.
Makes
Lori, would you
sense.
find that helpful?
Yeah, very much.
Very much.
That's it always. So people tend to forget that you have different digesting levels, and I also forget. I have a loaf of bread and I eat it and I eject, and later I got
Yeah.
a very high.
Yeah. I mean, I've read that French bread in particular is the highest glycemic index food in the world. It's like nothing else that raises the blood sugar faster than French bread. People don't realize breads are that quick, and
Yeah.
got to dose earlier if you're going to eat stuff like that. So in developing the app and in marketing the app, what are the biggest challenges that you've come across?
One of the challenges for sure in general was about managing expectations. I think initially when we launched it a couple of years back, but also today, like particularly with everyone like these days being very exposed to AI and everyone has its own imagination on what it might be, the expectations might also be unreasonably high. That's kind of a challenge, or has been, particularly in the past, more of a challenge for us. Now it's actually much better. And then in marketing, it really takes effort to reach the people. I mean, in the end, particularly in type 1, right? It's not, you cannot like market it as a consumer product, which has a much broader like audience eventually. So it's quite targeted and quite niche. On the other hand side, it's also nice because people talk about it. We have, I know in the US, 2,500 reviews, globally a couple of thousand reviews on the app. So, people in general really, really like what we do. But obviously there are always also people who really don't like some functionality, and particularly in the online world. I think maybe that's something in general. What we read each review. It's absolutely okay to criticize and things like that, but be human.
Some people are just mean.
Yeah.
You can't please all the people all the time. You
Yeah.
do your best, and you'll meet a lot of people's needs.
Absolutely. And like it's on the other hand side, every feedback like which we receive, which I mean people reaching out, it helped them tremendously and stuff like that. That's like worth every maybe not so good feedback which we occasionally have. So I really appreciate because people tend to more like share what they don't like compared to what they like.
Oh, sure.
That's cute thing you obviously also realize on the other end, which so
Lori, what have you found the biggest challenge in this?
I guess it's these ups and downs Aurelian mentioned, because I'm in the play field. I'm on the side and I need to watch, and I really believe in the product. And for me, it's very hard when he has a very it's a downtime, and I wish for them that they are successful, because I really love the product. And it hurts when they don't reach enough people. It hurts when they get criticized. And I think this is something that is very stressful for me sometimes. And also, SNAQ always was his baby before the other baby. And
Baby.
you need to support, and you need to realize that, especially now with the baby, he cannot just take a day off because the baby or I'm ill. So you realize that, and you need to be supportive in always. I think this is very hard, but I'm also very proud of what they like.
Yeah. It takes a lot of resiliency
Yes.
to continue with something like this. I know as soon as we're off of our recording today, I'm going to go on to the SNAQ app. I'm going to post a positive comment for you. And anyone else out there who tries SNAQ, don't just send complaints, send positive comments too. And I know your pricing structure, you provide a free trial for anybody who'd like to sample it and see what they think. And then it's a fairly low. I think is it a monthly or an annual subscription?
We're free plans of a quarterly and annually and a free yearly. And then obviously if you like calculate it down on a monthly basis, it's somewhere, I mean, if they go for the longest duration, I think it's like $3 a month. And the shorter duration would then count to like $12 a month or something like that.
Yeah. It's well worth it either way.
Yeah. Like, I mean, the other thing I fully understand, diabetes can be expensive, and I understand people wish that it sometimes would be free or covered by insurance. On the other hand side, like we don't sell data, we don't show ads, so like our direct incentive is to provide value to the people using it, and if you don't like it, then there's no misalignment of incentives. Like it keeps us very, very focused on providing value. There got to be some sort of commercial model, because otherwise these innovations will never make it or continue to be on the market. One also has to be realistic about that. And we really appreciate the subscribers and which help to push the product forward.
All about making our lives better and easier. All right, so we're going to put this thing to a little bit of a test now. Let's see how SNAQ compares to Gary's brain as a carb.
Yeah.
So I've got 3 things I brought for my lunch. I have a chicken sandwich, I have a salad, and a banana. Right. So I'm going to estimate first, and then let's see what carb estimate SNAQ comes up with. So my chicken sandwich, it's pretty close to a 1/5 portion. It's a little bit of vegetable on there. I would count that as around 25 for the bun. It's about 30 grams, I would estimate. So let's get this photo. Right, and the little starry things are showing up. It's doing its analysis. So it thinks this is a hamburger.
Yeah, I would have guessed that it will.
Similar. It saw the onion.
Oh,
so
okay.
It's got 32 grams of carb total for
Okay.
this. What did I say, 30? That's pretty good. All right, let's try the salad next. So this is a mixed salad, tomatoes, cucumbers, peppers, carrots, yada, yada, yada. It's probably maybe a little bit more than a cup. I usually figure salads to be around 5 or 6 grams a cup. So I'll go 8 grams for this salad. Let's see. I'm going to just put it down to take the
For
photo.
sure.
It's hard in a plastic bag. Does it work?
Yeah, but we're up for the challenge.
In a bowl, same kind of thing. It's doing its analysis. I said 8 grams here it comes. Got a lot more. 7, 10, it's got 13.
Okay.
Well, it's within 5 grams. Not the end of the world. And fact is, maybe I underestimated a little. Who knows? That's certainly close. Okay, now bananas. I figure a banana the size of my spread hand, pinky to thumb, to be about 25 grams. This is almost exactly that size. So I'm going with a 25-gram banana. My portion estimation thing, the best way is with things like hoagies, sub sandwiches. We call them hoagies. They're 8 grams an inch, so they're easy to measure that way. Next item to the banana. So I'm saying 25. Drum roll. Yeah, it is challenging, I guess, for the app to determine exact portion amounts and sizes. 27. It's pretty close.
Well, happy to hear that.
Yeah. I mean, they were all within 5 grams of what my estimate would be. Interestingly, they were all a little bit more than my estimate. So maybe I'm undercounting a little bit.
Well,
it's very possible.
Yeah, maybe so. I mean, that actually was a quite challenging scenario, like how you recorded it and stuff. So, like usually we recommend for people to have it on a plate, ideally, like on a proper plate, and to record it. And then it support 2 modes in the depending on the smartphone, so the smart estimate and the quick add mode. So if you really want to go accurate, like put stuff on a plate, on a ceramic plate, ideally not like a thin paper plate, and like record it in the smart estimate mode, and that's where like the volumetric estimate will kick in, and there it will even like recognize granularities, which kind of purely visually might be hard to see. For example, you can actually like cut the apple in half, and like depending on how you lay it, it looks exactly like a full apple. But with the volumetric one, we obviously would see that is much less height.
Okay.
Some
But
tips.
certainly, for people who are just tired of carb counting, tired of thinking about all the numbers, this will at least get you close. And for those who want to confirm their own estimates, it's a nice way to do it. Definitely. So let me ask you last question. If anyone's looking to start their own business in the diabetes space, what advice do you have for them?
I think it ties back to what Lori said and what I said earlier. Like, really be sure about the problem you want to solve, and like really think about it. Are you willing to like invest 10, 20 years of your life into that problem, like no matter how hard it is, and just stick it out? And then ultimately I believe like you really can provide a lot of value for people, but the journey is not easy there. It's very rewarding. It's super nice. I love what we do. I love what we created, and I'm so thankful for that journey, despite all like ups and downs. But be aware of it. It takes much longer. It's probably more challenging what you have imagined in the beginning. And yeah, just we all have a lot of opportunities and possibilities eventually on how we want to spend our time, and our life here is eventually quite short. So be sure on how you spend your best years. And yeah, I don't have any regrets. Like I absolutely love what we do, and I don't regret that we have started on that journey.
Lori, you have anything to add?
Yeah, maybe focus. Focus on your solution, because people always give you advice and how you could do it, and don't get lost. Focus on your journey. I think this is very important.
But I know, in my own practice with integrated diabetes services, that's been, that's been a mainstay. There are ups, there are downs, and you got to focus. And Aurelian, like you said, as long as if you're meeting a need and that's out there, that's what's important. I remember back when I was a freshman in college, I took a marketing class in the business school, mixed it in with my biology stuff. And the marketing professor would walk in every day to the class. He would pound his fist on the table and say, "Marketing is meeting buyer needs." I never forgot that. It just really rings true. And SNAQ is meeting buyer needs. It's definitely meeting a need that's out there in the diabetes community. So Aurelian and Lori, I want to thank you so much for joining me today and sharing your story with our audience. Now, we will have some show notes with some details about the SNAQ app and how people can access it. And for anyone else, if you want to learn more about nutrition and carb counting techniques, reach out to my practice. Our whole team is here to help with that. So to wrap up, I'm Gary Scheiner, reminding everyone out there to keep thinking like a pancreas. Thanks for tuning in to Think Like a Pancreas, the podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to like, follow, or subscribe on your favorite podcast app. On behalf of Think Like a Pancreas, the podcast, I'm Gary Scheiner, wishing you a fantastic week ahead. And don't forget to think like a pancreas.